Mick Rooney, you're very welcome. Radio Espial, investigative journalist and author. There's three pieces to this feature that you're going to hear and we're going to explore today. One is just the recent news on the Tina Satchwell case. That came from Tuesday, December the 5th of this week. There was a court appearance. Going to go through that very shortly. Two, Wednesday, December the 6th. It was Irish National Missing Persons Day. And three, out of that event, there was a development and some significant news we heard on the missing Trevor Deely case. Okay? www.radioespoil.com. Let's get straight into it. We're going to start with the Tina Satchwell case. Case summary, very briefly. If you want to do the Radio Spoil deep explores in the two cases that I'm mentioning, it's in the description. Go through them there. I'm just doing brief summaries. I really don't want to go into the full ins and outs. I want to concentrate on the updates of the case. So let's start with Tina Satchwell. Tina disappeared from her home on Monday, the 20th of March 2017. She was last seen in public at a car boot sale with her husband in the town of Carrigtwohill the previous day, Sunday, 19th of March. Richard was the last person to see her around 10 a.m. on Monday morning. He stated that Tina asked him to go to an Aldi store in Dungarvan to buy fish and dog food. And when he returned to their home on Grattan Street in Youghal 2 hours later, she was gone. He officially reported her missing on Friday the 24th of March, 4 days after he had last seen her. Tina was 45 at the time of her disappearance, and the couple had been married for 26 years. The husband of Tina Satchwell, Richard Satchwell, appeared in Clonmel Court this week via video link. He was arrested and charged in mid-October this year with Tina's murder following the discovery of her body concealed at the couple's home at Grattan Street, Youghal, County Cork. Richard Satchwell had twice been remanded in custody previously in both Cashel District Court and Clonmel District Court for appearances. So the events of this week on Tuesday, 2 months after his arrest and charge, this was the third appearance he had in court. Now, the Garda file on Tina Satchwell's case is, this was stated in the court, is at an advanced stage. This is what the Clonmel court heard. The state charged that on the 20th of March 2017 at a location in Cork, Richard Satchwell murdered Tina Satchwell contrary to common law. Richard Satchwell, aged 57 now, who's a native of Leicester in the UK, was charged after Gardaí found the skeletal remains of his wife while vating a concrete floor and walled up area underneath the stairwell of her home in Youghal. This was following a planned search warrant execution at the couple's home. Appearing in court, Sergeant Tom O'Brien from the case told Judge Brian O'Shea that the DPP, that's the Department of Public Prosecutions in Ireland, that he was awaiting directions on the case. State applied for a further remand in custody of Richard Satchwell until January the 2nd. That's 2024 coming. Judge O'Shea said it was quite surprising the Garda file had yet to be sent to the DPP. He said that it was in the interest of Mr. Satchwell and the family of the deceased that the DPP receive it in the near future. Now, also, Detective Garda David Kelleher in that Clonmel court said that 38 statements were requested from the initial arrest, detention, further extensions and the subsequent rearrest of Mr. Satchwell. He said they were also awaiting state pathologist, forensic archaeology, anthropology, state laboratory and toxicology reports. Detective Garda Keller stressed the file was at an advanced stage. He quoted, to quote him, "We are hoping to have it with the DPP before the end of 2023. Richard Satchwell, who was wearing a light grey tracksuit, did not speak during the court hearing, other than to confirm that he could hear and see the court proceedings. His solicitor, Aidan Leahy, standing in for his main solicitor, Eddie Burke, who was representing Mr. Satchwell, consented to the adjournment of the case to January the 2nd next. Judge O'Shea had every reason to be surprised at the delay in the proceedings. In fact, from all court accounts that I have heard, I'm going to be blunt, he was pretty pissed off with the Gardaí and state prosecution. At a previous Clonmel court appearance, attending Gardaí had given the distinct impression that imminently or already a file had been submitted to the DPP, and the request for further remand of Richard Satchwell was soundly down to the Gardaí awaiting case direction from the DPP. Defence counsel had actually requested bail, but this was refused due to the severity of the charge, murder, and the potential of a flight risk of the accused, Satchwell being a citizen of the UK. In reality, on reflection, it's now clear that Gardaí were fully aware at the time that the case file was a long way from submission to the DPP. I found that troubling, and I think I mentioned it in a previous comment on the Tina Satchwell, the last Tina Satchwell case update I did. I found it troubling that already then the sitting judge in Clonmel Court, I think it was last month, early November, was already frustrated that the Gardaí stated that they were awaiting directions from the DPP. In other words, the file's already gone, we're now awaiting what happened. Do you have it? The DPP comes back and says, yes, examined the case file you've sent. Yes, we believe you have a case. Go forward, push it, request that the judge sets a date for trial in 2024. In reality, over the last few weeks, that hasn't been happening. In fact, this week, on Tuesday, as I've just stated, we learned that the Gardaí haven't even sent the file to the DPP. So they were using the excuse to extend remand on the basis that they were awaiting the DPP to come back to them to advise. That wasn't the case. They haven't even sent the file. And they're only talking about sending the file in 2023, which means the DPP has to review it. So, January the 2nd, I potentially think we could be back in court in Clonmel on January the 2nd, and once again, this case could get pushed back. Now, if you're wondering, has there been a plea in the case? That doesn't happen at this stage. Until the formal DPP gives the go-ahead to Gardaí to push on and request trial, and the state prosecution moves with the case, the defendant is not required to record a plea in any way. Look, that's where we are with that case. Let's move on to the event on Wednesday, December the 6th. And that was National Missing Persons Day. This was held, I think, in Crow Park. Several family members of missing persons addressed the event, including Rita Mooney, sister of Gerard Mooney. Gerard Mooney is missing in Australia since 1996. Haven't covered that case. Kathleen Bergen, who is the sister of Josephine Dullard. She's been missing since 1995. We have covered that case. Again, link in the description. Leona Teig, sister of Jean Teig, missing in Portugal since 2020. We have covered that case. Link in description. and Rom Hyde, brother of Peter Hyde, missing since 1981. Haven't covered that case. Also attending with the Minister of State at the Department of Justice. Minister of State, not the Minister, the Minister of State. And I wondered why. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of politics in Ireland, and please do not use the comment section under this video to get into that. Not interested. Your comments will be deleted. But I do wonder, well, I don't wonder, I know exactly why the actual minister, Helen McEntee, wasn't there, because she was fighting her own political battles and hanging on for dear life because of a vote of no confidence in her as Minister for Justice. Doesn't say an awful lot for where we are, and we're going to deal with a couple of other foxpaths on this side of the Gardaí. One I've mentioned regarding the somewhat misleading information given on previous court appearances for the Tina Satchwell case, and why we have such a delay in what appears to be a cut and dry case with an accused appearing in court, charged, still on remand, and remanded now into 2024. There is a point going to come in this case where a judge is going to go, enough's enough, despite concerns about flight risk, the seriousness of the case. That's it. I'm going to grant bail. You deal with it, Gardaí. You've had enough time. And I see this an awful lot in cases. Why things seem to develop so slowly. It's not good enough. Toxicology, forensics, do not fucking take 2 months to 3 months on a murder case. Those tests are expedited, and I don't know why we have such a delay in this case. Enough said on that. Let's move on to the National Missing Persons Day on Wednesday, just gone, of this week. Also present was the Garda Commissioner, Drew Harris. I'm not even going to go there. Also another person under question as to his position and exactly how long he's going to last. At the event also was Fianna Fáil TD James Brown, referenced the publication of a database containing information on 44 cases of unidentified human remains earlier this year. I've learned that has gone in the last week or two from 44 to 45. In other words, remains have now been logged on that system, being found, but it's not known who the remains and what case they're connected to. Fianna Fáil TD James Brown, to quote, referring to the database, "That was a positive first step, but it's only the first. We are committed to exploring how we can improve the database." During his speech at the event, Michael Jacob, who is the father of Deirdre Jacob, another case we've also covered, I'll put that link also in the description, asked TD for Fianna Fáil, Mr. Brown, to meet with the families of missing persons to discuss concerns around unidentified human remains and the efforts to link remains to missing loved ones. The families, quoting, of missing persons, particularly those who are missing for a long time, have great concern, particularly about the unidentified remains. You can't blame us for thinking, is this remains one of our loved ones? Again, this is Michael Jacob, father of Deirdre Jacob. Is she one of the identified ones whose daughter disappeared near her home in Newbridge, County Kildare on July 28, 1998? A Department of Justice spokesperson said that Mr. Brown would engage, that's the minister, the Fianna Fáil TD who spoke, would engage with Deirdre Jacob's family in relation to the requests made by Deirdre Jacob's father at Wednesday's event. spokesperson for the Department of Justice also said, "It is also important to note that the data published may not represent a complete data set for a number of reasons. Coroners can only provide details of unidentified remains that have been reported to them." So in other words, if remains are found and it's somebody who hasn't been flagged to Gardaí as missing, it becomes much harder to track and trace that person. To date, 2 exhumations have been carried out for the purposes of extracting DNA samples. Now, Garda Commissioner, who I mentioned earlier, Drew Harris, also addressed the National Missing Persons Day event, describing the day as one filled with complex and deep emotion. I can imagine that. Gather hundreds of relatives of missing persons in Ireland, and yeah, you can kind of expect that. He continued, "It is a day to remember the missing and to share just how much they are deeply missed and loved." Now, also at that event was the brother of Trevor Deely, and that's the third piece we're going to deal with now, the Trevor Deely case. So just again, brief summary. Trevor Deely. On the 8th of December 2000, Irishman Trevor Deely disappeared in Dublin. He'd been walking home around 4 a.m. from his office Christmas party and needed to go to the bank where he worked for an umbrella, as well to get certain things in order for a shift the next day.
Trevor was from Naas in County Kildare, and we both went to school together. He was a very outgoing type of person, very friendly, very into computers and all of that type of stuff, very technically minded. It was nearly the start of the internet at that time, and he would have been big into computers, and where I would have been not so much into that. So the two of us had different ideas in life, and that's how we kind of got on really well together. The last time I saw him was literally in Dublin Airport. He was flying off to Alaska, in Anchorage in Alaska. And he, obviously a young lad, 20 odd years of age, great job in the IT department, a few quid in his pocket, and was just saying he was going over for a short time, and he'd catch up with me and tell me all the stories when he came back. Trevor went to the Christmas party on the Thursday, the 7th of December, and did the usual, went to the Hilton Hotel, had a few drinks, and then went to the nightclub. And all was supposedly in good old spirits, and left the nightclub and popped into his colleague in Bank of Ireland in the IT department. And that was approximately 3:45 a.m. Had a chat with his colleague, and all seemed to be good, and checked 1 or 2 emails, grabbed an umbrella from the office, which was a rather large umbrella, a typical bank umbrella, and he left Leeson Street bridge there, came out of the IT department, and headed down towards Baggot Street. The last physical sighting of Trevor was at 4:14 a.m, which was picked up from the Bank of Ireland CCTV, which is just directly over the ATM pass machine. And that is the last time we've actually seen pictures of Trevor. That night I was out with a friend of mine, Conleth Loonan, who's also best friends with Trevor as well. We went to a nightclub in Naas, and I called Trevor. He couldn't hear me, and he called me back, and I couldn't hear him. I knew Trevor was at his Christmas party, so I wasn't going to disturb him anymore. That night I left the nightclub in Naas, and obviously went to bed and left my phone on charge downstairs in my own house, and Trevor called me at about 4:04, approximately 4:05 in the morning, and left a voicemail to say that he was going home and everything was okay. That was the last time I actually heard from Trevor. The search was Initially, very, very difficult. The nights were closing in. You must remember it was the first week in December. And we searched everywhere. We did pubs, restaurants, all the main streets, all the streets of Dublin. The search has never, ever, ever stopped. It's an ongoing search. We're keeping positive, and we're just hoping that someone out there is willing to come forward that knows absolutely anything that can give us just a little bit of a glimmer in finding Trevor.
He was seen on a security camera at his bank in front of another bank he passed as he headed home on foot. Both also captured a man clad in dark clothing who is yet to be identified and is considered likely to have played a role in Deely's disappearance. That's where we were with the summary. And that last line, yet to be identified, that's now been updated. Mark Deely, Trevor's brother, speaking to reporters at the National Missing Persons event at Croke Park on Wednesday afternoon, where family members had gathered, explained, "What we learned that the new information in the case was that a Garda investigation had identified a man captured on CCTV, dark-cladded man, walking close behind Trevor Deely on Dublin's Haddington Road on the night the 22-year-old disappeared, some 23 years ago. Mark Deely said the Gardaí have since spoken to the identified man and are now totally happy there is nothing sinister involved in the man's recorded movements on the morning of December 8th, 2000. They're happy now that the person following Trevor down Haddington Road, there is nothing sinister in that, and he was not following him, not tracking him," Mr. Deely said, Mark Deely. "They're totally happy that there is nothing sinister involved with that." On the night in question, sometime after attending an office Christmas party, Trevor was captured on CCTV passing a Bank of Ireland ATM on Haddington Road at 4:14 a.m. Approximately 30 seconds later, a man was recorded walking in the same direction. It's what we commonly now know as Haddington Man, who was now being eliminated from the inquiry, identified and eliminated. This happened through the help of a UK-based company that Gardaí were able to enhance the quality of CCTV footage in question earlier this year. The finding also removes the suspicion a man seen speaking to Trevor around 3:35 a.m. at the rear gates of a Bank of Ireland premises where Trevor visited at Fitzwilliam Place, Dublin 2, was the same man moving behind Trevor on Haddington Road. Let me just get that clear. They don't believe that darkly clad man on Haddington Road at 4:14 a.m. is the same man engaging briefly and talking to Trevor Deely as he entered the gates of the premises of the Bank of Ireland where he worked in the early hours of that morning. In other words, they don't believe there's a connection between the two men. In other words, other man at gates is somebody totally different. It's not Haddington Man, perceived originally to be following Trevor. He wasn't. Mr. Deely said that although his family were happy to see progress in the investigation, the recent revelation was a bittersweet moment. I can imagine that. It's a bittersweet moment because you think you're going someplace. As I said to one guard, I said, God, that puts us nearly straight back to square one again. And he's right. Mr. Deely said that his family have no theory as to what happened to Trevor. We're totally open-minded. The truth is, as daft as it might sound, he's as likely to walk in the door in the morning as he is to be found dead. We've no information whatsoever. For the Deely family, the focus has always been on finding out what happened to Trevor. It's all about keeping Trevor's name out there. The disaster is that he gets left a bunch of case files sitting in a box in a Garda station. There's also talk that that database of the 44, now 45 cases of remains found with DNA gathered from those remains, that they're encouraging missing people, family members, to come forward, offer their DNA so it can be cross-checked, in the hope that they can hopefully identify some of the... Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Isn't it shocking that missing people, but we have 44, 45 cases of remains of missing? Physically, we have the remains of 45 people, and we can't match them to potential cases of relatives wondering where their loved ones are. Yeah, it's just mind-boggling to think about that. Look, that's my summary of this week. Tina Satchwell case, updated. Trevor Deely case, incidentally, I am actually recording this on December the 8th, which is the 23rd anniversary of Trevor. It was this late night 23 years ago into the following day, I think it was the Friday, that he went missing. Look, to conclude, coming up later this evening, I'm with Kieran. We're actually recording episode 40. I'll tell you now, I think you already will know from the community page on the YouTube channel. We're dealing with a deep analysis of the Fiona Pender case. That's upcoming. When I'll post that, could be the weekend, could be early next week. I'm not certain. A lot of work to do. I've also a new case feature coming up late next week, maybe into the weekend. It's a case I've said before I was very wary of covering. I'm not going to get into the details why. It is linked to Ireland, but it is not an Irish person. And this case, it's one of the most high profile in Ireland, a French national citizen. You're probably already guessing who it is, but I'll announce that feature maybe later in the coming week. Look, that's where we are. God bless. Thank you for joining me for the updates. Look out in the coming 2, maybe 3 days for the deep analysis with myself and Kieran of the Fiona Pender case. Take care. See you again soon.
Moments change, time moves so fast. Here today, not built to last. We are believing forever, but right now it's hard to see it through. 'Cause you're out there missing, out on a sunny subway. You're out there flying up above all this cold. If I close my eyes, I still get lost in your smile. You're out there missing. You're out there missing. Out from here, we'll find our way. Helps to know someday. We are believing forever, but right now it's hard to dream. smile. I can get lost in your smile. You're out there missing. You're out there missing. Only you have the soul that never falls. But you're out there missing.